Hey everybody, it's Sean Henricksen here from the Sean Henricksen Law Firm. And something I hear from a lot of different places is a little bit of controversy over whether you should give a breath test or whether you should give a blood test if you're arrested for a DWI. There are two separate things that I look at when I'm talking to people about the situation. So the first thing is that if you consent to a breath test, then once you consent, there's no search issue or no seizure issue or anything like that. If you do refuse a breath test, then the police department is going to get a search warrant to draw your blood, and they're going to have your blood tested, and so there's still going to be a number. But once we have a search warrant issue, then we've got a whole search and seizure issue that we have to deal with. So for a judge to issue a search warrant, there has to be an affidavit from an officer, and that affidavit has to show that there's probable cause to believe that you're intoxicated. And that's one more place where the police department can mess up. So if there wasn't probable cause to believe that you were intoxicated at the time, or if something is left out of the affidavit, then those are all reasons that the blood tests may be able to be kept out of court. The second thing that we're looking at is, let's say that whatever the test is, whether it's breath or blood, what happens if we go to trial and we have to deal with that number? So on the breath test, once you're arrested, if you consent to that, then you give two different breath samples into the intoxilyzer machine. And those samples rarely match up well. And so the number that they end up coming up with is more of an estimate. And there's also some kind of technicalities that go along with that. So they have to have made sure that they observed you for 15 minutes before doing the test. And afterwards, we've got the opportunity to look at the records on the machine to make sure that the machine was being maintained properly and operated properly, and that the officer, was certified and everything else. And so there's some issues that we have to look at on the back end also. With a blood test, like I mentioned before, so first we've got the issue of looking to see whether or not the search warrant was properly signed off on by the judge. But after that, once your blood is drawn, it's sent off to a lab. At the lab, lab technician will process all of that and will test the blood to see how much alcohol was in your blood. And there have been a lot of issues with blood tests recently also, and so there's frequently something to work with in there also. And so we look at the policies and the procedures of the lab itself. We look to see if those were properly followed. Recently there have been issues with recalls on the tubes used to collect blood. And so there's a lot of different things that go into analyzing either a breath test or a blood test. So I recommend denying or refusing the breath test, letting them take your blood, and then we can go from there. If you are looking at videos and things about breath or blood tests, then it may already be too late for you. And if that's the case, don't worry about it. It's not a huge difference between the two. Ultimately, whichever one, there may be things that come up that we could use to our benefit. If you have any questions about any of this, breath tests or blood tests or anything else related to DWIs, just feel free to give me a call. My name is Sean Henricksen, and my phone number is 210-900-2806. Have a great day. Bye.